And welcome back to Monday Night Sport. Time to review the Test match of the weekend. Another welcome back to Dave Henderson, former Southland captain. Test match thoughts. I for once agreed with John Hart. I think it was his fault that things didn't go right.
Yes, if you review the Test, my thoughts were that it was boring to watch. We had a lot of ball, we couldn't do anything with it. The backs made a lot of mistakes, a lot of missed passes and dropped balls. So yeah, I have to agree with John Hart too.
The talk is that the world supremacy is here in the Southern Hemisphere. From what I've seen of the three series so far, the standard hasn't been good. Too many mistakes for my liking.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it. The strength's supposed to be in the Southern Hemisphere, but when you get three teams that are very close, and and you look at South Africa and you look at Australia that have lifted their levels to the All Black level, you're going to get games that there's not going to be a lot of tries scored. And I guess if you look at the All Black team, they've probably dropped down a wee bit, and these other two teams are caught up. So yeah, there's another way to look at it too, Tom.
The blame is pretty much focused on the back play, or the lack of back play. What's changed in 12 months? Last year we were scoring tries from more corners. We never looked like scoring a try at all on Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of factors there. The ball, the speed of the ball from the forwards, the delivery of the ball's not that quick, and it's making the back sort of static, and that Frank Bunt's Waddle Little combination in the middle is really affecting the continuity of play up the back line. And Christian Cullen just doesn't seem to be interested to come in the back line, and when he does, the ball doesn't get to him. So that's really affecting play. So there's two areas. It's the loose forwards and also the midfield backs.
I counted the number of times the ball actually went along the back line to the wings, and it totals up to be 0. So not once did either Wilson or Cullen get the ball from a standard chain reaction.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And the last time that we really saw that the likes of Jonah Lomo and Jeff Wilson really got the ball in the space was the last World Cup, where they had the ball off the top of the line out to centre and then fling it out to the wing. Gave them plenty of space, but from then on, since John Hart's had the reins, we really haven't seen that open ball moving out to those wings and giving them plenty of room on the outside.
I'm scratching my head with the way they're using Lomo, for instance. I mean, one-on-one against a winger, the other guy's not going to stop him. We've got him jumping at number 2 in the line-out. I thought Robin Brooke was quite good at that. I mean, what's the point of that? I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm bewildered at times. What's the point in doing that? And I guess with Joan in the line-out, they're putting one of our loose forwards or something in the back line. But like you said, Joan is the best man to beat anybody and get over the advantage line. So yeah, it might be variation, but really the last two tests have used it. Have you seen any benefit of it?
None that I can trace. Justin Marshall had a better game to start with, got injured. Can't really tell whether he's near there yet, can we?
No, we can't. And let's face it, he had a horrendous injury, and it's going to take a while to get over that. But I guess if you look at the standard of halfbacks underneath them, a half at Justin Marshall could be as good as anyone else in the country.
The first 6 possessions I counted we kicked. We seemed to be kicking the ball away, hoping that perhaps South Africa was going to make a mistake. To me, that's not constructive option taking. That's a bit of hit and miss. Yeah,
I think when you look back on it, it must have been the game plan. I think just looking at the faces of some of the All Blacks, they look as though they're lacking confidence, and I think it's coming out in their play. They're kicking the ball. John Hart's probably telling them to get up there and get in the right position, but against teams like they're playing, they're not winning that ball back, and they're getting punished. They end up back in their own 25.
One thought I had is perhaps Mayhoffler, who had an average sort of game, he did some good things and some poor. Is he a second 5 that's out of place?
Yeah, I think he is. The guy's a very good second 5, played most of his rugby at second 5, and it's a hard ask for him to be put in at centre and perform at international level. My feelings are that, I don't think he's going to make it at centre. I just don't think he's got the distribution skills to be able to read the game and get that ball out to those guys out wide.
Now, Hart's come out and said, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have put Spencer instead of Mertens. What's he going to be saying next Monday, because he's made just one more slightly controversial selection, Carter against perhaps Robertson or some of the other choices?
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's 2 weeks in a row that he's apologised for making mistakes, and anybody in business makes a couple of mistakes. If you make it a third time, you're probably not there. Mark Carter, another controversial selection on the open side of the flank. Scott Robinson there, playing good football. The sort of footballer that we probably need on the open side in the absence of Josh Cromfield, and they bring Mark Carter back on, and he'll be expecting a huge roar from the crowd when he takes the paddock on Saturday.
Especially replacing a Canterbury person who was perhaps the first technically in line. Why, somebody asked me, do we have an A side? We do all this development, we send them on tours, we're priming them to step into the breach. Suddenly there's problems in the All Blacks. We've got Rickelman and we've got Carter coming in. There's no sort of pattern as to how this development moves on to All Black standard.
Yeah, I think it's a panic situation. If you have a look at John Hart, he's not the confident man that we all know of John Hart, and I think he's struggling to come up with the answers, and he's going back to people he thinks he can rely on, the likes of Mark Carter and Charlie Rickelman. But once again, as you're saying, the New Zealand A team is there for a reason, and there's some good footballers there that need to be given a chance at that high level.
Somebody suggested John Hart may now just have to do some coaching of the basics, which maybe we're overlooking with some of the fancy stuff.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what Laurie Main said in the Sunday papers. He's had a team there for 2 or 3 years now that Laurie had coached and got to a certain standard, and you know the writing was on the wall the last year, where it was only individual brilliance that was getting us winning us games. The opposition forwards are starting to match us and get on top of us, and it was the likes of the Cullens, the Wilsons, and that were still getting a wee bit of ball, some good ball, quick ball, and they were changing the games for us, not a team effort.
Okay, we're just going to change the subject slightly. We've just got enough time to have a look at the practice that we filmed last Thursday, which is the NPC practice, Southland's first get-together. Les George, rather a cold day. Phil Taylor there, just taking in a breath. Your views of the squad that was announced last week, any surprises there for you?
No, fairly predictable. I guess the only surprise for me would probably be Mark Seymour missing out on selection, but my understanding of that is that Mark's been injured over the last 3 to 4 weeks, and I guess if he can improve his fitness, he'll be back in there.
One team that's putting their hand up very early on is Waikato. They beat King Country by 75-0. Now, King Country's not a bottom of the third division team. They're a good, normal second division side. That's an indication that maybe they've got things right early.
They have. They'll be a real danger this year. You know, my pickings are going to be the Canterburys, the Otagos, the Waikatos. They're going to really be knocking on that door to win that competition this year.
No soft games.
No soft games, and you know, the Southland boys are a good young squad, a lot of promise, but she's down to the hard grind now, and it's perform or we'll end up like we were last year.
One of the teams I think may be a wee bit susceptible, Wellington early, looking at the squad they've got. Iramir's not fit. They're covering him with players that we perhaps haven't seen much of. Good chance for Southland to get off on the right foot. It
is, and it's good to see that Southland have got 5 games at home this year, and that they are striking a couple of teams earlier on that were missing their All Blacks and have got a few injuries, and I just hope they're ready to perform, and I think they will be.
We've got a Shield challenge if Auckland can't beat Waikato. Both teams again without their All Blacks. From what we've seen in Waikato, that's going to be particularly tough.
Oh, it will be, and it'll be a great experience for the Southland team, but hey, it's all on the day. We've seen other teams go to Shield challenges. The Southland team last year against Auckland came so close and yet come away with nothing, so anything's possible on the day.
Well, it's certainly going to be a great season. We've got, starting with a home game, then a Christchurch game, then another home game, so really all fairly local. That's always going to be help rather than starting perhaps in Northland and working your way down the country.
Yes, it will be, and it gives the Southland public a chance to get along and have a look at their team and support them, and we just hope that they get right in behind the Southland team, and there's a huge crowd there for the first couple of games.
There's nothing like a couple of wins early on, isn't there, to get engender that interest?
Yeah, it's a team spirit thing, and if you start winning, everything seems to fall into place, and the coaching staff happy and the players are happy, and it just follows on to better rugby and better things. Right,
we've got time for a prediction for the Saturday, this test coming up against Australia. Not a lot on it, they say. We're now playing for the Bledisloe Cup. Oh, I've got to ask you one other thing before I go to that. There's a couple of schools of thought. One, that the World Cup is all we play for these days. That's the measure of our greatness, if you like, our standing in the world. Other people, and I tend to favour this view, is that the test matches are just as important as one-off events. If we concentrated on winning each of those, you'd end up winning the World Cup anyway. Which camp have you got your feet in?
Well, I think we're all judged on our next game. New Zealand are no different to anyone else, and I think that we are judged on Test, not just the World Cup. And and it's proven a point over the years that New Zealand has still been classed as the best team in the world, but haven't won the World Cup for the last 2 times. So yeah, I think everyone around the world, and I agree that it should be judged on each Test match.
So that test match prediction, you had a couple of extra minutes to think about it?
Yeah, no, I'm picking Australia actually. I'd love the All Blacks to win, but I just can't see New Zealand matching them out wide in their backs. Still think we've got some problems there, and it's not going to be resolved in one more game. And Australia looking very slick out wide. If they can win enough ball, they've got the firepower out there to beat us on Saturday.
Big call. Might have you back next week. Definitely have you back next week to have a look at the test and see if you're right.
Thank you.
Okay, when we come back, the latest from the Celtics Cup.